إن الحمد لله اللهم لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد بعد الرضا ولك الحمد يا ربنا أبدا أبدا. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وترى الناس سكارى وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق الجهاد حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى من دعا بدعوته وسار على نهجه إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, I greeting you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, I have a very important topic that I want to share with you. I want to start, I don't have any time for introduction today. I want to just jump to the subject, inshallah. Let's say we have four families, four Muslim families. One family lives in West Africa, Mali, Senegal, Nigeria, and another family lives in Malaysia or Indonesia, that side of the world. And we have a third family, and this family, they live in the Gulf, in Kuwait, Iraq. And then we invited the three families to move here to the States. And you put them in one room with American family, American Muslim family, born and raised here. And you look at the four families, and they are both, four of them, they are Muslim families, right? But you look at the way they dress, the language they speak, the food they eat, you will figure out that they are totally different people. Sometimes the food the other cultures eat, for us, this food brings them happiness, and for other cultures, it brings them disgust. Wow, I cannot touch this food, even I cannot smell it. So four different families in one room. You know what's the only thing that connects these families together? Islam. That's it. That's the only thing that connects us and connects our hearts together. If you imagine that in the middle of the room, you bring a small table and you put the Quran, the constitution of this ummah, on this table. Now you have all the hearts together, theoretically. But if you remove it, so now you have four different cultures. And sometimes, if you want to introduce a question like fiqh question, or religious question, or even a social question to these four families, if you remove the concept of deen from the middle, every family will come up with a solution that has nothing to do with the other cultures, with the other families, right? So the only thing that will solve the problem is to cast away our cultures and the a'raf and the adat and the taqaleed and everything, and just focus on one thing, which is we are all Muslims. And we have only one constitution that everyone should abide by. And I will mention this word so many times, so I want to make sure you guys understand the meaning. The meaning of urf and the meaning of aada. Urf comes from the word ma'ruf, and ma'ruf is something that is known to be correct. This is the urf. Linguistically, the urf is what is known to be correct. What is aada? Aada is something that is known to be normal. Like Egyptians, we always used to say عادي. عادي. Something used to be known to be very normal, right? So there are so many components of any cultures. The biggest components are al-urf and al-ada. And I will mention them so many times. I want to make sure you understand the meanings. Islam didn't come to fight the a'raf or the adat. Sometimes, in some extreme cases, Islam tried to remove and diminish adat and taqalid and habits and customs. Like what? Like burial of girls. Like drinking alcohol. Like homosexuality. Even it started before Islam. So Islam, whenever Islam came, he tried to remove these things, right? Some other cases, Islam came to reinforce good adat and good habits and good customs. However, the question now is how to strike the balance between your culture and your religion. When it becomes mandatory for you to resort fully to your deen and to neglect anything that is related to your culture. And I'm going to prove to you today that sadly, we did reach this moment in our lives that we always resort first and foremost to what's so-called al-ada and al-urf, and what my uncle used to do, and what my grandmother used to recommend. And the last priority is our deen. One of the cases that our imams have been dealing with, one of the sisters came to us and she was complaining that her husband insisted on her that she has to put what's so-called Tawiyah, I think South Asian call it ta'viz, below her pillow. So every night before you sleep, you have to put this thing below your pillow. So the mother or the sister, she didn't feel comfortable having something weird behind or below her pillow. So she came to one of the imams. So we asked her, can we see this thing? Can we see this ta'viza? So whenever we saw it, it's just all geometric shapes. So you'll find in the cylinder, they will mention the word Allah. And maybe in the rectangle, they will say al-waswas. And then in the square, they will say the word al-khannas. Why not just to call it a day and write down قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ in just in the paper, that's it. So she didn't feel comfortable, and Islam ﷺ banned all the ta'weed and the ruqa and tama'im and all these things. So I asked her, what triggered your husband to do this? Yeah, because we feel that there is, the evil eye and the shaitan and all these things at our house. It just reminded me, what is the Quran now? What is the tradition? Didn't we ever ask what is the right, Islamically, what's correct to do in these cases? Very simple. In Hadith Jabir ibn Abdullah, and I tried this time because this is all controversial topics. Why? Because they make us feel little bit of discomfort. It brings us this discomfort. Why? Because come on, man, I have been doing these things for years. And now you want me just cast away all the adat and all the a'raf just for one khutbah? That's why I try to find all the very, very authentic hadith. In Sahih al-Imam Muslim, radiallahu anhu, Jabir ibn Abdullah, he said, every single day, when a Muslim man or woman, when they enter their homes, and the moment they start by saying as-salam, and the moment before they eat, they start saying as-salam, you know what's going to happen immediately? Shaitan, and this is very authentic hadith, Shaitan will start talking to his followers by saying, لا مبيت لكم اليوم ولا عشاء. You have no dinner at this house, and you have no place at this house to sleep tonight. لا مبيت لكم اليوم ولا عشاء. Just find another place. What's the price? What does these people do? Just they say salam before they start eating. And the moment we stop doing these things, Shaitan will say to his followers, هذا مبيتكم وهذا عشاؤكم. You found a place for you to eat, and you found a place for you to sleep. And what is the price here? Just for you to say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So please, give me a break. And don't look for the ta'weed and all this kind of geometric, superstitious stuff, and find your deen. Resort to your deen. Ask your imam. I know people, they come here for like 10 years. They come, they go, they never had any connection with their imams. You ask them, do you have teacher in your life? I don't have teacher. What do you mean? I'm 45 years old. Well, that's it? You don't need teachers? Do you have any connection with the imam? When was the last time you sent him a message? Or ask about his health? Or ask about fiqh question? We don't do that. Why? Because culture is there. It's on the shelf. The moment we need anything, why to call the imam? The culture is there. I'll bring something from the culture and I will impose it. لا تجعلوا بيوتكم كالمقابر. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه. في صحيح الإمام مسلم صلى الله عليه وسلم giving this advice to the ummah. Do not make your homes like the graveyard. What to do يا رسول الله? Just always recite سورة البقرة. فإن الشيطان ينفر من كل بيت تقرأ فيه سورة البقرة. Shaitan will just walk away. He will run from any house that Surah al-Baqarah is being recited. When was the last time you did that? So don't complain from sihr, please. Don't complain from the shaitan. Why? Because you didn't do anything to prevent it. And it reminds me with the event that we have today, which is the Jahiliyyah. This is the event that we have tonight, inshallah. How to battle the Jahiliyyah. How to fight the Jahiliyyah. Things, superstitious stuff that people before Islam used to do, and now we try to recall them to our deen again. It became very common, especially with all the atrocities and the collapse of the moral system. It's very hard to find a good girl for your boy, or even good boy for your girl. So what we do these days is, you will find someone from overseas. Just export him here. And then your girl will ask you, Dad, but I don't know him. It doesn't matter. I do. Your grandfather does. You don't have to worry about it. He belongs to the same tribe. He belongs to the same neighborhood. He has the same colors, skin color. He speaks the same dialect. These are the qualifications. You're good to go. And whenever she brings you someone who is a good person, but he is not from your tribe, no, we know. It's against our culture. We can't. We have our own deen. Forget about your deen. Our culture is a different secondary deen. إذا أتاكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته فزوجوه. That's the Prophet's advice, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever comes to you, he has a good deen and good morals and ethics, فزوجوا فاء التعقيب. Immediately you have to accept him. إلا تفعلوا. If you do not, تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد كبير. فساد عريض or كبير. Right? كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is the moment we bring corruption and fitna. The moment we stop accepting people based on their religion and their amana. And then we even bring boys without allowing our girls just to see them. حديث المغيرة بن شعبة في مسند الإمام أحمد. He went to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا رسول الله, I proposed to a girl. So look how صلى الله عليه وسلم replied to him. He didn't ask about the family of the girl. He didn't ask about his language or his dialect. He didn't ask any of this question. Look at how صلى الله عليه وسلم, look at the profound question he asked. He said, هل نظرت إليها? Did you look at her? Did you see her before? He said, of course, Rasulullah, no, I didn't. It's against the culture, I can't. So he told him, go and look at her. فإنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكم. This is best for the love to remain between both of you. And we do the opposite. Why? Because we understand, we did reach the level that culture should override religion. Whenever there is a problem at the house, whenever we want to make a decision, we will resort to the culture first before we ask the imams, what does Islam say here? I was talking to an Afghani brother, talking about culture and habits and a'raf. So he told me, subhanallah, in Afghanistan, it has been for years, that for the husband to show the power and control, on the very first day of the honeymoon, he will ask his wife, just wake up. I have big family coming for breakfast. And she has to do the thing, right? However, what we do not know is the concept of serving the husband in Islam. It's a very controversial topic. And before I share it, I want all the sisters to promise me that you have to make dinner for your husbands tonight. You have to. Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and the Jumhur of al-Malikiyya, they said it's not mandatory for wives to serve their husbands. It's not mandatory. I'm not saying it is haram. It's not haram. It's not mandatory to do this. And even Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Abi Thawr from the Malikiyya, they said, you know what? We'll try to find a compromise here to make everyone happy. And they used the hadith Fatima radiallahu anha, whenever she was very tired serving Imam Ali and her family. How many kids Sayyidah Fatima had? 5 kids. Hassan and Hussein and Muhsin and Zainab and Kulthum. 5 kids, big family, mashallah. And Imam Ali and his horse and animals and everything. So she went to the Prophet, she went to the Imam, not only the father here. She went to the Imam. She didn't resort to the culture. She went to the Imam asking for his opinion. Ya Rasulullah, what shall I do? I got so tired. Look at my hands. So Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told her, brought Ali. Ya Ali, you take care of everything outside the house. And this poor lady takes care of everything inside the house. What modern scholars said is, what if your wife has a full-time job and she pays the bill with you? Now you have to expect her to come at 4:30 to do her job, her second job. It doesn't work like that. But why we allow this to happen, my dear brothers and sisters? Because cultures come here and then Islam comes here. And whenever we have any problem, we'll go to the culture first, we'll go to the uncle and aunt first, before we go to the Imam, or even open the Quran and ask all these questions. In our village, one of my uncles, Allah yarhamu, he was proposing to one of the families. So in the very first meeting, they told him, by the way, we do not give any inheritance to our girls. What does that mean? This is the urf of the family. We keep the money inside the family. We recycle the money within the boys of the family. I swear to God. So he told him, but this again is deen. Oh yeah, but we have our own deen. This is our own deen. This is something that the family generation after generation, we try to abide by. And then I was reading Surat An-Nisa, ayah number 18. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يحل لكم أن ترثوا النساء كرها. Amazing ayah. So they asked Ibn Abbas, you know, the ayah says here, it's not permissible for believers to inherit women. What does that mean? To inherit women? To inherit her money? No, to inherit her physically. That's what I'm telling you. This is the jahiliyyah. What we do is something that we bring jahiliyyah to our lives. It's not only culture, it's jahiliyyah. Because that's what Arabs used to do before Islam. And even used to do after Islam, before Allah Azza wa Jal shared all the ayatul mawarith, the inheritance verses with us. Ibn Abbas, in order to translate this ayah, look what he said. If a husband died and he has 2 wives, You know what Arabs used to do? So he has 3 brothers, for example. So the 3 brothers, let alone they will go to the 2 wives to give them money or inheritance or anything, that the 3 brothers will go to the 2 wives carrying what in their hands? That's what Ibn Abbas said, a bed sheet. They will carry bed sheets in their hands. And the moment they enter, they will look at the wives. And if he likes one of them, he will throw the sheet on her. Now he inherits her. Could you believe this? Let alone giving her any part of the inheritance. And I was studying ilm al-mawarith, and this is the hardest Islamic subject I ever had. Because it's very sensitive, it's very delicate. Someone died and he left this and that, distribute the inheritance. Very delicate. It's either you make it even, or now you take money from this person and give it to this person. So my professor told me something very intriguing. Because the only thing that we know about mawarith is what? لِلذَّكْرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. This is the only thing we all know. In Surat An-Nisa ayah number 11, لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. Male will inherit twice of the female. This is the only thing we know. The superiority of the man, the jahiliyyah. So my professor told me, you know what? There are 10 cases where men inherit more than, there are 10 cases in our Shara where women inherit everything and they leave nothing to the men. 10 cases. And there are 50 cases where women inherit way more than men. And there are 10 cases where women and men, they inherit the same. So 70 cases in our Shara. And the only thing what we remember is لِلذَّكْرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. Why? Because it goes with the culture. It aligns with the culture. It aligns with the a'raf and things that we want to hear. That there is superiority of inheritance whenever it comes to women. One of the sisters called me a couple of days ago. She had a funeral, and she was during her monthly cycle. So her husband told her, you cannot go, you cannot touch the deceased, you cannot attend the funeral, you cannot be around. So I called the husband. I told him, Akhi, said who? Our women is not najas. It's not najas. So who gave you the audacity, al-jur'ah ala dinillah, to ask her not to go and attend the funeral because she is during her, what's your argument here? Of course, he doesn't know anything, and the only thing, Imam, I can't. My mom I will have a hard time with her. How about you have a hard time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What if your mom doesn't know? Why not to sit with her and, explain everything to her? You know what Yahud used to do before Islam? Hadith in Sahih al-Imam Muslim. Yahud, they used to deal with the woman while she is in her cycle, in her menstruation. They used to lock her up in her room. Stay in the room until you're clean. And they stopped eating with them. Allah is my witness. They stopped eating with their women, and now we do the same exact thing, but with some optics. Said who? Aisha radiallahu anha. In Hadith muttafaqun alayh, she was going for Hajj. Few miles before Mecca, coming from Medina, she started crying. So Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he knew the whole thing. Aisha, why are you crying? Did you start your thing? Yes, Ya Rasulullah. So he told her, go and do everything like every Hajj should do, except 2 things. Except Salah, obviously, and Tawaf around the Kaaba. That's it. Ya Rasulullah, does that mean that Allah will accept my Hajj? 100%. And I will slaughter cow for you. That's it. And now, we do the same exact thing that Yahud used to do before Islam and banned our women from going to the funeral and touching the body of the deceased based on what? Based on a'raf and taqalid and culture. Aisha radiallahu anha, look at this hadith. Sallallahu wants to make a statement. So she said, كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يتكئ على حجري وأنا حائض. He used to come and lean on my lap while I am during my monthly thing. So one time she told him, Ya Rasulullah, out of courtesy, Ya Rasulullah, I am during my thing. You know what he did? He started reciting the Quran. Look how far we are today. He wanted to make a statement to Aisha radiallahu anha while she was trying to warn him, Rasulullah, are you okay with that? He said, I will start reciting the Quran while I'm in this position. And the moment we allowed culture to override religion, this is what we are today. We allowed culture to separate us and disconnect us instead of having religion as the biggest source of unity. Is it okay to allow your older, 35 years old girl, she didn't get a chance to marry before, to marry to a person, I'm sorry, she didn't get a chance to marry, would you allow the 20 years old second girl to get married? No, we can't. Why? Because it's against the culture of the family. We have to allow the older girl to get, said who? You know the concept of wa'd al-banat, that we used to bury the girl in the dirt? To be honest with you, we do the same exact thing now with the younger girls. We bury their emotions and their sentiments and their feelings under the banner of what? Under the banner of culture. We bury them spiritually, not physically. And we allow the girl to wait for the unknown. Dad, but what's my problem here? My older sister, she doesn't want to get married. So why you punish me now? حديث الإمام علي رضي الله عنه في صحيح الإمام الترمذي يا علي, 3 things, do not delay them. There are, imagine this advice from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not only to his son-in-law, to the whole ummah. 3 things, do not delay them. الصلاة إذا أتت. The moment the mu'adhin would say Allahu Akbar, just drop everything. الصلاة إذا أتت. وَالْجَنَازَةُ إِذَا حَضَرَتْ. If you are at your house and you will see people running and marching quickly with the janazah, carrying the deceased, drop everything. وَالْأَيِّمُ إِذَا وَجَدَتْ لَهَا كُفُؤًا. And the young girl, the moment she finds a good, suitable person, this is the moment, don't ever delay. What we do is we cast away all this kind of traditions and clear ayat and clear ahadith, like crystal clear. And what we do is we resort to one thing, which is the culture. Is it okay, especially with all the refugees coming from Afghanistan and Syria? What's happening is the brother is at work, and his brother who moved from Afghanistan, he is at the house with whom? With the wife. So now you leave your brother at the house with your wife. Matter of fact, some sisters, they are not allowed to wear hijab in the presence of the husband's family. Why? Because she wants to give them some privilege. You guys are not strangers. You're just my very own. You're very close to me. So I have to take off the hijab while her husband's relatives are there. And it reminds me with Uqba ibn Amir, when Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was giving him an advice. Ya Uqba, إياكم الدخول على النساء. Do not ever enter a house while woman is there. She has to find a mahram. So Uqba told him, Ya Rasulullah, أرأيت الحمو? How about How about the relatives of the husband? And to be honest with you, I think the same applies to the relatives of the woman as well. Ya Rasulullah, أرأيت الحمو? Is it okay to go to a house because he's my brother and she's my sister-in-law? What's the big problem? Look at how Sallallahu replied here, but he said, Alhamu al-maut, Alhamu al-maut, Alhamu al-maut. The relative of the husbands, they represent the biggest threat and the biggest fitna. And what we do now is, we do the opposite. Why? Because we cannot challenge the culture. I cannot say to my brother, I am so sorry, you're not mahram. I cannot leave you at the house. So what we do is, we do things haram every single day, while seeking Allah's protection and blessings and barakah and everything. How? And let me conclude by this example. One of the prophetic traditions, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that there are no condolences and mourning after 3 days. Right? How about us? People, they have, after 7 days, they will open the door for people to come and recite Quran. And after 30 days, and after a year, and you ask them, you guys, it goes against the traditions of Islam, but you know, it's part of the culture. I'm sorry, I can't. My family will eat me alive. How about you sit with them and tell them, guys, it goes against the traditions of Islam? How do you expect that Allah Azza wa Jal will give the deceased mercy and forgiveness, and all of you, as the whole family, you do something against his traditions? And not only this, you recite Quran. Seriously? It goes against the deen. And the thing is, we do not have this courage to stand our ground and say, I cannot do these things. I know it's deeply rooted in the culture. It's deeply rooted in the traditions, but I can't. Why? Because it goes against the traditions of this deen. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and to raise our status and make us among those who will meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the highest level of Jannah. Raise your hands and ask Allah Azza wa Jal for acceptance and forgiveness. اللهم لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد بعد الرضا ولك الحمد أبدا أبدا يا رب العالمين. يقول الله عز وجل في سورة الزخرف آية 23 and 24: وكذلك ما أرسلنا من قبلك في قرية من نذير إلا قال مترفوها إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مقتدون. قال أولو جئتكم بأهدى مما وجدتم عليه آباءكم قالوا إن بما أرسلتم به كافرون. I can see this ayah being applied every step of the way and every inch in this community and in this nation in general. Allah Azza wa Jal is saying here, a messenger, Allah will send him to warn a nation, a village. So he will tell them, the rich people, the people with power, they will tell him, إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا أَبَأَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ. We found our fathers following a certain belief, and we have to follow him, or follow them. So the messenger would say, how about I provide you a better guidance, a better message, better morals and ethics? They would say, instead of saying, thank you, we need it, they would say, no, we reject everything you bring. As if we enjoy having this heavy metal collars around our necks. The weight of the culture. And Islam came to free us from this metal collar. In Surat al-A'raf, ayah 204, Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. Very beautiful ayah. Whenever Quran is being recited, listen attentively. This is the meaning of فَاسْتَمِعُوا. How about the meaning of وَأَنصِتُوا? I have a very slang translation for this ayah. But it summarizes everything I want to share with you today. Because it would have been enough for Allah Azza wa Jal to say, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. Listen attentively to the Quran. Whenever the Quran is being recited, you have to listen attentively. But why the word وَأَنصِتُوا? Because أنصِتُوا means you have to shut up. You have to zip your mouth. You have to silence your culture. This is the meaning of وَأَنصِتُوا. It's not only to listen attentively. This is the moment for you to silence all your thoughts and all your urf and taqalid and habits and customs. This is the moment for you to submit yourself. And this is the meaning of Muslim, right? Muslim comes from Islam. To tuslim nafsaka Allah Azza wa Jal, to submit yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the meaning of Muslim, right? Not to say, no, I can't pick and choose. These things, they align with my culture. I will do them, but these things are not. I cannot do them. It goes against the meaning of Muslim. It goes against the meaning of وَأَنصِتُوا. Silence your culture. The moment you hear sallallahu alayhi wasallam in an authentic hadith or ayah in the Quran says something, silence your culture. It's very famous, especially within the Arab community, that the mom would prevent the girl, she is not hijabi, she will prevent the girl from wearing hijab. Why? Because I couldn't find the word hijab in the Quran, like explicitly. I couldn't find the word, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن. I couldn't find the word hijab, where it is. Did you find in the Quran anything that tells us that we have to pray Fajr and Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha? I don't think so. Do you have any ayah in the Quran that tells us that we have to pay 2.5% for Zakatul Mal? We don't. So the moment we extract the Sunnah from the Quran, that's where we are today. That's where we are today. That we have the audacity to stop by hadith that Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in al-Bukhari and the Muslim, and the great scholars of hadith, they mention this hadith, and we have the audacity to say, I don't think I'll be able to follow this hadith. Why people stop accepting religion and they resort to culture? There's a very good reason. Imam Mujahid said, لا يتعلم العلم مستكبر ولا مستحين. Two people will never learn. And I want to conclude by this, my dear brothers and sisters. Two people will never, guys, can you just move a little bit forward, please? Jazakumullah khair. We have full house today, alhamdulillah. If you find any gaps, please fill the gaps. Jazakumullah khair. لا يتعلم العلم مستحن ولا مستكبر. So some people, they intentionally, they know the truth, they know this against the Islam, but because of arrogance, I will never do it. I belong to the elite. I belong to a family that has culture for years. We have the legacy. We have traditions. We have a'raf and taqalid. I cannot do like any average Muslim. So arrogance. And for those people, may Allah forgive them. I don't have time for them. I want to talk about the other category, those who cannot learn because they are shy. They are ashamed. How to share this with the Imam? Guys, we live in a time that your son will come to you and he will ask questions that neither you nor your dad have any idea how to reply to this. It doesn't take away from your knowledge. It's just, the modern norms. So in these cases, your son will come to you, ask something like, it never occurred to your mind about atheism. Just find my brother's video about atheism and educate yourself. Acquire knowledge. Sit as a student of knowledge for a couple of hours and find the right answer. Do your thing. Finish your homework. if you have something about homosexuality and all these atrocities, and your son will come to you, Dad, I know this kid while we were 5 years old, and now he's 14, and he believes he's a gay, and he's my best friend. What shall I do with him? I want to bring him home. No, Habibi, you can't bring him home. This is the easiest thing to do, to shut him off. No, no, no. This mission accomplished. This is haram, this is kufr, this is what and that, right? This is the easiest thing, but it doesn't solve any problem. We have to stop being ashamed. We have to find a teacher. We did reach a moment in our ummah that you have to have a teacher. You have to have a mentor. You have to find someone that you feel comfortable being around him. I'm not asking that sisters, whenever they sit together on Saturday evening, they will start having this kind of chat and sharing crazy stuff. And my husband said that, and my husband asked for that. Don't do these things. It goes against modesty. It goes against haya. You have to find the right person who is a source of modesty, who is a source of knowledge. This is the right person that you have to extend and establish bridges of knowledge with them. We did reach this moment, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to find the right person to ask questions. You have to sit as students of knowledge, and you have to ask yourself, how can I cope with all the challenges in this day and age? Saying haram is not enough. I wish it is. It doesn't. That's why Sayyidah Aisha في Muslim Ibn Majah, she said, رحم الله نساء الأنصار. May Allah Azza wa Jalla have mercy upon the women of Ansar. Their haya never prevented them from acquiring the beneficial knowledge. They used to ask everything and all the sensitive things. So this is the message that I want to conclude with today. Do not allow culture to keep you ignorant. Do not allow culture to fail yourself and your family. Do not allow culture to deprive the beauty of this deen from our hearts. And I want to conclude by inviting everyone, inshallah, for an event that we will hold, inshallah, here tonight. And the event is battling Jahiliyyah. How to fight the Jahiliyyah. How to have this conversation with our children. How to be able to acquire knowledge and have mentors and have teachers. How to be able to understand that I have to surround my son with mentors. Sometimes your kids, I'm telling you this, I have 5 kids and I suffer with them a lot. And I always have problems with them. No one is perfect. But you know what I did? I have mentors for every and each one of them. I never said I am the imam. My brother is the big imam. Why to have mentors? What's the point? We can do all these things. We can answer all these questions. A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. This is kibr. This is the concept of arrogance. I need a mentor and a teacher for my son because this is what he needs. There are so many things in his life he will face. He cannot share this with me. And I accept it. And I want to act by having mentor for them. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow all of us to have the best teachers who will be the best and the biggest source of guidance in our life. Ya Allah, we ask you not to deprive us from the beauty of having teachers and mentors around us. Ya Allah, we ask you to allow all of us to enjoy the beauty of the company of great mentors and great teachers, that they will be the biggest source of guidance and light and mercy in our lives. Ya Allah, we ask you to surround our boys and girls with the best company, with boys and girls who will be as-suhba as-salihah, the best company for them, that they will elevate them and they will uplift them spiritually. Ya Allah, we ask you to remove all the seeds of atrocities from this community, and Ya Allah, fill it with the love of knowledge, fill it with modesty, fill it, Ya Allah, with the love of Iman and the love of God. And Ya Allah, never allow